Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Beau Oliver, joined here today with Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we are back to review Amazon Prime's new original series, Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, episodes 1 and 2. Obviously there were high expectations for this show, and forgive me for my morning voice, because we're recording this pretty early, but at the nice little radio broadcast.
Yeah, I like your morning voice.
Thanks.
Do I have morning voice?
Kinda, yeah.
Nice.
The budget's been highly reported, one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive television projects in the history of just the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, just going based off of the first two episodes, we're not going to get too specific because there's a lot. It's 2 hours of content. It's essentially a movie to start your show. And we'll release our more in-depth spoiler discussion probably this Sunday, but just going off of general thoughts, I thought it was good. You could definitely see the budget, the scale. It's super impressive. It's probably the biggest a television show has ever looked. The story, it felt like the first episode was more of a prologue, similar to how House of the Dragon opened their season. And it reminded me of the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, getting some of this backstory, seeing some montages of characters traveling and some montages of battles and setting up the big bad, Sauron. He's back, or this is the beginning. So it was breathtaking at times, but the story, I'm still waiting to see where it all goes. That was one of the criticisms of the marketing is we don't know what this is about. And there's obviously some hints at some bigger lore stuff. Obviously the development of the rings, it's in the title. So I guess that should have been a big clue. But I was impressed. Not thoroughly impressed, but I thought it was a solid beginning.
Right, yeah, and the first thing I've noticed was that budget right away. I thought it looked really, really beautiful at times. It's hard to say because it was only 2 episodes in what I guess is supposedly to be a long series. But I didn't really have that wow factor for me where I wasn't really blown away at anything. Visually, yeah, maybe, but story-wise, nothing really stuck out to me. And, that's fine. I think it's really just trying to get its footing and kind of set up the story for the rest of the season. But, yeah, as far as the first 2 episodes goes, I'm definitely intrigued. Obviously, we're both huge fans of that original trilogy. I think it's the best trilogy of all time, so it's got me in that regard, but I'm just kind of waiting for it to kind of find its footing and go from there because, like you said, story-wise, I'm still trying to put some things together. Obviously, this isn't for me what Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire content is. I'm not thoroughly invested to the point where I know most of these things going into it. A lot of this is very new to me. Obviously, seeing some characters like Galadriel and Elrond, some we've known from those movies before, to see them played by different characters in a different time in their lives was cool, but still waiting for me to get for it to really fully sink its teeth into me, where I'm anticipating it week to week. But
yeah, I think you can argue that in terms of trilogies, The Two Towers is a stronger middle. But Rush Hour 3 brings it home, I think, more than Return of the King did. Didn't have all those alternate endings, straight to the point.
Oh, you're back on trilogies.
Yeah, that stuck out to me. I basically heard white noise for the rest of the argument.
All right, well, Rush Hour 3 is considerably worse than the other 2.
Well, just talking about the elves, I thought they had that sort of ethereal quality that they had in the original trilogy, where they are graceful but powerful. They're warriors as well. And that opening montage, man, I thought that battle was where her brother lost his life. I thought that was great. And the shot of her placing all the helmets, stacking them up, the visuals really do stand out here. It's the visual storytelling that stuck with me. I found a lot of the dialogue to be a bit repetitive, just kind of metaphors for the overall themes of good versus evil and destiny and finding the light and having to know what light to follow. Even though I did enjoy that interaction between Galadriel and her brother, I thought that kind of summarized what Lord of the Rings is about, because people, when Game of Thrones blew up, it was, it's so complicated, I can never watch Lord of the Rings ever again. It's too simple. And he says sometimes the most important truths are simple, and I think it's trying to figure out what those truths are. So they set up sort of, the adventure aspects, the mythical quests with a character like Nori,
right.
The Harfoots. I enjoyed them as well. Reminded me of my Hobbit buddies, and Galadriel as well. That she's a woman on a mission. She's carrying her brother's, basically his curse of trying to stop Sauron. It's something that she just can't get out of her head. She needs to defeat this evil. She needs to be the one who restores the light. So I thought she was a good lead. And my boy young Ned Stark is Elrond. He was a perfect casting, and he gets to play 2 icons now playing Elrond.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed seeing the younger version of that character. Although it would have been funny to de-age Hugo Weaving. Another Matrix situation where people are going to be like, why not just get Hugo? Not enough Hugo these days.
No. he missed the opportunity to come back for Infinity War.
And even Aronir, I think, was the other elf, the warrior elf, who's in the relationship with the woman. So it reminded me of Aragorn and his lady, because I don't remember her name. I don't remember names for anything Lord of the Rings. I'm coming in totally fresh. I've read the beginning of The Fellowship of the Ring in a Barnes & Noble back in 2017. I read like the first 10 pages. Mm-hmm. Great leather-bound covers, by the way.
I've read like Fellowship, and I can't. Thank God for the movie. It is a hard read. Not that it's not like a good book, but like the way he writes. Yeah, well, the hobbits and the dwarves, they were my favorite parts of these first two episodes. I love how they kept that kind of campiness to them, because like even in those original movies, they're goofy at times, and when things need to get serious or when serious characters are being portrayed, the tone sort of shifts. But I enjoyed my time watching them on screen. I think with Galadriel, her journey so far, driven by, I guess, this not only revenge, but like I guess this vow that she made to herself, or her own beliefs that there's still something is there. That's going to take some time to fully develop for her arc, because I really wasn't too... I thought her making a decision to get off the boat and everything and basically pass up eternal heaven to go scout or further like try to figure out what's going on and follow her beliefs that Sauron is still out there. I thought that was pretty well done, but everything with the raft and the water,
You didn't like that sequence? I thought the monster sequence was great.
It looked cool,
especially when she doesn't know if it's the boat coming back or if it's the monster coming back.
I don't know. I was more interested in what was going on with the hobbits and with the elves and with Elrond. They're still hobbits.
Right, but they wouldn't take kindly to being called hobbits.
I don't give a fuck. Okay.
You have a close personal friend who's a Harfoot. Be respectful.
Well, I'll go back then. I'm
just kidding.
I don't know. Like everything with Durin and Elrond, I was very intrigued with. Just seeing what their relationship was like, and kind of by the way, inside that mountain looked beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. The mining kingdom.
Yeah, so the dwarves are always some of my favorite parts. Even like in The Hobbit, I enjoyed the dwarves. So getting to see them and the competition they're doing, they're goofy, they have all these unique characteristics. I enjoyed those parts for sure.
Yeah, I thought Prince Durin was awesome. Their relationship, very reminiscent, obviously, of Gimli and Legolas, and I think a lot of the comedic relief came from those two in that original trilogy, and those scenes were funny. Captures the differences between the lives of elves and dwarves. Elves measure things within, measure in centuries, because they live basically forever, unless they die in war. So for dwarves, 20 years is 20 years.
Yeah,
So when you haven't shown up for a while, things have changed. We need to catch up here a little bit. And the way that they're sowing the seeds of what they're going to eventually do, it's being done with good intentions. But we've seen the movies. It's similar with House of the Dragon. Things are going to go wrong here. But it's presented as something that's going to be a good for the whole world. And then you see that good men, because we know Elrond is a hero, is swept up in that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy the journey. Just once it really gets going, I'm looking forward to, because it really is impossible to kind of make a overall assessment on what this series is going to be based on these two episodes. I think you can point out some things that maybe you like or dislike, but overall, 2 episodes in the grand scheme of things is really nothing. So you got to give it some time to breathe. And obviously, like I said, I'm not really too familiar with Tolkien's work, like what he's wrote about this time. So maybe some fans can point some things out that they don't like about that. But other than that, I really don't think there's anything to really hate so far. I'm just waiting for something to really love. And I'm sure, I hope that will come in time. The music I felt was, I liked it. I think there were good pieces, but there wasn't nothing grabbed me like a Concerning Hobbits did. But I felt like when it needed to really build up something, I thought it was really good. Because that's one of the big things when you're coming into this world, Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings. I think that score for those first 3 movies is one of the better pieces. As a whole.
Yeah, they brought back Howard Shore for the main theme. I thought the main theme was the best piece of music, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Out of all the music. But it was good. It definitely supported the medieval fantasy setting of the show, the vibe of the show. It felt like Lord of the Rings. That's always the test with these big franchises. And I do wonder, the original 3 movies were a spectacle. So it was come out to the theater, bring your family, spread the word of mouth. You need to see this on the big screen. This show is shot for the big screen, but it doesn't have that same appeal where you're going to tell your friend, hey, you need to watch this on your 50-inch TV because it looks so cinematic. And sure, you can watch it on TV or laptop, however you watch it, and still appreciate the larger aspect ratio and the scale of it all. But I wonder if that's going to hurt the popularity a bit because it doesn't have that same rush to the theater, you need to see it type appeal.
I think what's really going to hurt its popularity is I don't know if these 2 episodes for somebody who's coming in as a casual fan really grab them. This very much is going to be something that if it does end up being a success will build up and then people will go back and watch once the word of mouth spreads. I could see people being not turned off by these first 2 episodes, but kind of lost and maybe just being like, House of the Dragon, I'm going to watch that or something like, or something other, or choose to watch something else. But I think for a lot of fans, that did feel like a return to Middle Earth. I think it obviously differentiates itself in certain ways, but I think when you get some of these bigger moments, I feel like the blend of CGI and practical really made it feel like it never was combative with each other. It was very smooth. I feel like it had some of that same sheen that the original movies had at certain points. So, overall, again, with the budget, you could definitely see it there. It's probably the best looking, one of the better looking shows to be ever put on TV already. And I doubt they even used most of that budget yet with some of these bigger fighter sequences you assume are coming later in the season.
Maybe they did. That would be unfortunate.
It just looks like shit for the rest of the way.
Well, that first teaser that they released, a lot of people were complaining about some of the shots, saying it didn't look real, it looks kind of fake. A lot of those shots were used in that first episode.
It looks better.
We haven't seen a lot of the footage. I thought the ice troll was well animated. That fight was when he started really going at them, just slamming people into a wall and shit.
You know what I've realized with CGI over the years? If you go into something wanting to point out CGI, you're going to find something that you can point to and complain about.
Not with Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean. That man's chest.
But
can't find a single flaw with
other aspects of that movie you could if you're going in trying
Probably
to nitpick
not.
the CGI.
No.
I guarantee you can.
I would bet nothing on it, but still.
I'm just saying you can do it. So it's hard to you kind of just got to understand that this is obviously not real and just take it away. And if anything is jarring,
It's not real.
Yeah. And anything is like super that sticks out, then that's bad. But most of the time, good CGI, you don't even really notice anything.
Yeah, it's like a good umpire.
Yeah.
Call your game, balls, strikes, hold off the robots.
I
But
think
you know what always hits? The orcs. One of my criticisms of Star Wars is they always bring back the
They don't have
stormtroopers
orcs.
because they could use orcs.
Yeah.
Or if they use their stormtroopers more like orcs, they're supposed to be the henchmen for the ultimate evil out there in the world. So when that orc does show up, a couple, we see orcs throughout it, but when they have that encounter with Brownwyn and her son, that was fucking scary, man. That's a fight. Putting up 2 humans who don't have special powers, they're not magical, and to prove to the village, we need to get the fuck out of here. We need to make for the elven town, the elven capital, or wherever they're headed, in order to get to safety. And that's been a fun undercurrent of the show, is people are trying to move on from the centuries of war. They want to forget the past. They want to leave it be. And enjoy this new prosperity, but it's characters like Galadriel and other characters who are having these encounters saying, this is an evil that hasn't gone away. We haven't snuffed it out. When she has that interaction with the sailor on the seas, when he says his home village was raided by orcs, more evidence that the orcs are still out there and they're still terrorizing people. So that very personal one-on-one or two-on-one that we got with the orc, that was scary. I thought the monsters in this episode were some of the best scenes.
I want him to kill that kid, though. I don't like him.
I don't like him either.
He gives off serial killer vibes.
Yeah, and he's got that sword with the mark of Sauron. That's another thing. The way Sauron's presence is used. Once again, I'd love to get his side of the story for once. Everyone's always slandering him. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's such a bad guy. He never speaks. He's just what if he's just trying to do some good? He's just misunderstood. Whatever. Yeah, but the Sauron's symbol being on different items or bodies, it's eerie. It's creepy. That guy is still out there. He's still terrorizing people. But I do hope we get some more moments of evilness from him. I don't want him in the shadows all the time. He really is in the shadows in the original trilogy permanently. So I want to see him out there in the field.
Yeah.
I want to see what he's working with.
Yeah, I think that would be something that I would definitely be interested in seeing, because like you said, like, this guy's got a reputation.
He's got a rep, and it's also, is he manipulating them into forging the rings? Is he the puppet master behind all of this? Where he's got his hands in good people who think they're going to be working towards the greater good, but they're just setting themselves up to create nuclear weapons, and he's got the one super nuke that controls them all. Even though I don't even know what they do. They should make you invisible.
Yeah, explain that to me in Thrones.
Thrones.
But yeah, that scene when the York comes from the tunnel, it was fucking terrifying. That was legit. Very, like I was saying earlier, like, I feel like with Lord of the Rings, and it looks like they're trying to establish that with this show as well, when you go to some of the dwarves, or, you go to the Harfoots, it'll be a little more goofier, the tone's a little bit different, but then when it needs to, it can really turn on a dime and, like, show some horror elements. And yeah, I think not only did the Orc look great and terrifying, that was just a terrifying scene.
Yeah, and also the Orc conspiracy. They're raiding villages, but there are no burnt bodies. They're building these tunnels. Are they experimenting with turning men into orcs? That would be horrifying. They don't shy away from that nasty shit. In the Orc factory, the way they're being birthed and shit, it's so nasty.
They're really just disgusting creatures.
Yeah, so they're setting up some breadcrumbs into larger conspiracies of the evil elements in this world. All right, guys, before we get to the second half of this review, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for today's episode, Smile Brilliant. I'm sure that everyone can agree that we live in stressful times. Whether it be the economy, the political climate, balancing work and home life, all of these things lead to stress, which is the most common cause of grinding your teeth in your sleep. The damage of grinding and clenching in your sleep can be irreversible, resulting in worn-down tooth enamel, cracked teeth, chipped teeth, and infections. The cost of cosmetic fixes can run you thousands of dollars, and night guards at the dentist can cost anywhere between $200 to $600. Yikes. But with one of Smile Brilliant's affordable, custom-fitted night guards, you can return to a peaceful night of sleep without worrying about any potential damage to your teeth. Right now, if you visit SmileBrilliant.com, you will receive 20% off all products, simply by using our promo code NerdSoup. Their night guards run as low as $45 per guard. Plus, they have a great selection of other great products like whitening trays, whitening gels, electric toothbrushes, and so much more. And remember, you can head on over to SmileBrilliant.com and use our promo code NerdSoup for 20% off all products. So don't wait, hit that link, and take care of your teeth. So it's so important. So important. That ending for episode 1, the montage where the comet is coming from the sky and it's going to all the different storylines, I thought that was really well edited and directed. I don't know, that giant kind of looks like a big-ass Larry David to me. I kept seeing Larry David in his face.
What is he called? The Stranger?
Yeah, the Stranger.
Is he a giant, or is he just like a regular guy?
I think he's probably just a regular guy, if he's with the Harfoots.
Yeah, he's like 6'6".
The theories are that he's Gandalf.
I was thinking that, but like I said, I don't know, thousands of years beforehand, and I know he's a wizard, and obviously Elrond and Galadriel are around, but I really didn't know how much that work played into it, or if Gandalf, how old he was, or...
He's an old dude. He's been around.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was boys with Sauron.
Boys?
Yeah, I think they come from the same creed.
Like they were chilling?
Yeah, they would catch up every now and then, work friends. They never had dinner with the wives. We need a Lord of the Rings expert. I was going to tweet that out last night. It's pretty late in the game. Anybody out there know everything to know about Lord of the Rings? Please join our podcast.
Well, I think
I'm sure plenty of people will comment on this video. Pick me.
Yeah. I mean, those first movies, that's what I loved about them. Like, there's so much more lore, and there's such a bigger world and history there, but you can really just view those movies in a vacuum and know everything about those movies and kind of, that's it.
Yeah, there's a difference.
That's the end of my my wormhole when it comes to Tolkien.
Yeah, I think there are fans of Lord of the Rings who like the movies, and there are Lord of the Rings fans who appreciate what the movies did, but they're fans of all of it.
Yeah.
They've read the books, they've read the encyclopedias. But I'm curious to see the hardcore fans' reactions to this series. See, characters like a character like Nori and the Harfoots, they brought me back to early scenes from Fellowship of the Ring, the whole feel of Middle-earth, and how there's such a strong, tight-knit community. It's very wholesome. Mm-hmm. They're not caught up in all the politics and all the evilness of the world. They just kind of do their own thing. And then, of course, you have the main Harfoot, Nori, who wants to explore. She wants to see the world, similar to Bilbo, similar to Frodo. Well, not Frodo, but the other hobbits. Frodo just wanted to read books all day. Poor guy. So I thought she was a good character, and you learn about her. You learn a lot about her based on her interactions with the strangers. With the stranger, she has no obligation to this man whatsoever, but she wants to protect him. She wants to do the right thing, and it speaks to the wholesome nature of the hobbits. That they're the best sort of allies. They're the most trustworthy.
And anytime a character shows up out of the blue, but like kind of has this amnesia or can't speak the language, I feel like you kind of hit the same beats when it goes to trying to either jog that person's memory or build a relationship or a trust between the characters.
He was annoying me. He just screaming at everybody. Somebody shows up. Ah! Relax.
You don't know what he's been through.
No, he seems like he's been through some stuff. But the way he was trying to communicate with the Fireflies, I thought that was clever, showing them the constellations where they need to go. And I think, we'll have to see if it all does tie together, all these different disparate threads. I think that would be sort of neat. It's reminds me of a Game of Thrones type of story where there's more conspiracy. There's more that meets the eye that needs to unfold. The original trilogy is we need to bring this ring to Mordor, and that's it, which is great. It's all about the quest. But there's, like I said, there's more than meets the eye here.
Definitely, yeah. And I'm interested definitely to get more into more of the cultures, dwarves, elves, the different factions of men, with the hobbits and everything, because at its core, I mean, as great as the story is, I mean, I think the cast of characters and their different backgrounds and ethnicities and all these fantastical elements that kind of come together but make it feel really just so real. Getting more into, I don't know, these cultures within Middle-earth, I'm very much looking forward to. Because so far the dwarves they just seem like a good time. The elves are a bunch of pretentious pricks.
Yeah, and it speaks to the way that people need to accept their differences in order to come together for the greater good. That's one of the main themes of Lord of the Rings, is being able to, like I said, just stand against the ultimate darkness, even though there are some differences among these different cultures and fantastical ethnicities, if you want to call them that. And the prejudice there is, it's all over this. It's all over these first two episodes. Like when Aronir enters the bar, they tell him to get the hell out of here. So there's a lot of tension there, even though the elves think they're still fighting this war. This threat still exists.
And I think once the story starts to kind of figure out where it's going, I think it'll maybe come off as a little bit less clunky. Not to say it was too clunky, these first two episodes, but it was a lot of kind of trying to put things together. What do you think about like the way the map moves and showed where these characters are geographically?
I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
it lets me know where everybody is. When they said, we need to leave our home kingdom and travel to somewhere far away, and it showed Middle-earth, I got excited. I got pumped up. I felt some chills, back in Middle-earth where it all started,
Yeah, I think
it's iconic.
A couple things like kind of resonated with me in that way. When you hear like the dark speech come on, and it just reminded me so much of those early movies when Sauron's trying to corrupt Frodo or whatever, like those instances where you kind of just have this darkness just take over the screen. And when the hobbits were just being hobbits, I just got like that sense of calmness that I always felt when these characters were able to kind of provide some levity to the weight of this impossible situation.
Right, they've got it made, man. They do really exist outside of all the chaos, and then the stranger lands right in the middle of their village. So it's going to bring them into the fold. Yeah, all those characters to me felt like the dwarves and the hobbits and the elves of old. Nothing felt out of place. And I'm really excited for a character like Nori, if she's going to be the new Frodo or the new Samwise, the new Bilbo, the unexpected hero who becomes one of the most important parts of what's unfolding in this story. So I want to see some of these characters that they set up cross paths eventually. I think Galadriel that was a perfect casting. Morfydd Clark as the young Cate Blanchett. I've been calling her YG because I don't want to say Galadriel every time. Young Galadriel. So she's got some good hero moments when she takes out the ice troll. She's got that moment of defiance where she says no to paradise in order to continue her fight. My shoulders always feel so sore when characters have to swim that long. It just bothers me, man, being stranded in the middle of the ocean, but she manages to wiggle her way out of it. And like I said, I thought the sea monster encounter was one of my favorite scenes of the episode. It really sucked me into the moment, and I love being sucked into the moment.
Yeah, no, that's great. I did like the shots of her swimming going in and the camera following underwater. Yeah. I think just for her character, I enjoyed her time definitely when she gets back with Elrond more, because just to get to know more about her. These other scenes obviously prove that she's a great warrior, but and I think that relationship with the men on the raft is going to prove to be something that kind of, like you said, helps bridge these trusts between these different species of, I don't even know how to classify, but like you said, like how the elves and the dwarves need to kind of build their trust, and men and elves seem to have their differences already, especially I guess because a lot of men were followers of Sauron too all those years ago, so, or their ancestors of them, so I think that's going to be like a small little theme that plays out throughout the series, where they build these connections and trust for one another, and they find good even though they might have preconceived notions of what they are based on what tribe they belong to. Like, just the elves have the reputation, but we've seen here that, Elrond and Galadriel are very, very good people. So
right. And I'm also interested to learn more about the secrets that these different groups are keeping from each other, because when Prince Durin talks to his father, the king, he mentions something that they can't tell the elves about, and the scene cuts away. So I wonder if that's I always forget the lore of who did what, but that's cool. I mean, the whole setup with the tower that it's going to build, the largest forge that Middle-earth has ever seen. So what is that character really up to? I think his name was Celebrimbor. That's going to be a tough name to remember. But he gives off the vibes of someone who's keeping a lot of secrets, even though he's letting Elrond in on this plan, saying that he's basically got the strength of 1,000 men to get this sort of thing done. That's how well-respected Elrond is.
And even the High King, that's such a cliche person in charge way to look at things. It's like, well, what do you mean? We're at peacetime. Nothing's wrong here.
Yeah, right.
Even though someone's telling you there is a threat.
Yeah, he's the Neville Chamberlain of elves. We're just going to send you to paradise. Stop complaining about it. But, she says she couldn't be able to live with herself. So I think, people always, like I said, they compare the fantasy series, where's the morally gray characters. It could be just as fun to watch a wholly good character who's becomes too obsessed and maybe loses her way, but even though she's trying to do a good thing to fulfill her brother's dream and defeat this ultimate evil, if she makes some mistakes, if she gets some friends killed, if she, has to learn some tough lessons about what it truly means to fight for good, it isn't this simple, you just go out and do it. There's a way to do things the right way, and there's a way to do things the wrong way. So that's why I'm interested in her journey, and she's going to have this relationship with this man. So, we've seen that obviously in the original trilogy, the relationship between elves and men and what they can learn about each other and how that can change them as characters. And dwarves and elves as well. Gimli and Legolas they were such a great big two. So Elrond, bit more serious than Legolas, not the warrior that he was, or the flamboyant lover boy, I guess, that Legolas became. Durin gave me Gimli vibes, He's going to end up being my favorite character because Gimli was always my favorite.
You were a Gimli guy?
I was a Gimli guy, yeah. And I'm excited to learn more about some of the main characters that weren't in this episode. There are some important players that they've yet to set up here.
Like you said, they're separate, a lot of these characters geographically, but they're all trying to figure out the same secret. It's like they're all on the same page, or they're all
headed in the same direction,
but following different threads. And it'll be fun to see how their storylines converge, or when they finally do meet up, kind of getting information from one another and kind of help building a better picture of what's actually going on here. It's definitely Gandalf. When he's whispering to the fireflies.
Yeah, no, that's 100% Gandalf, who looks like a big-ass Larry David. There's no way it's going to be popular enough to justify spending this much money on it. No way.
No, nothing. Yeah, I think especially when you compare it to, and I hate to do it, but they're both fantasy shows out at the same time, and it's bound to happen. The talk online with House of the Dragon and the way they came out pretty much swinging, those first 2 episodes, I think the hype week to week is definitely going to be more towards House of the Dragon than this.
Yeah, and the reaction to this show, for some reason, all the man babies have come out, crying about the casting, crying about the diversity. That's going to be a topic of discussion when it comes to this show, because you just can't ignore it. The outcry has been so loud. The cries from the man babies can be heard from Gondor all the way to, what's the other kingdom?
Rohan?
Yeah, they're lighting the torches for the man babies. The man babies are crying.
No, I think it's something where I think a lot of people they came into the show deciding they're not going to like it.
Yeah.
Which I find to be extremely, extremely weird. But there's nothing from these first 2 episodes that I think objectively someone can watch and be like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And it ruined everything and ruin my life. It's just not there. So,
I know. The people saying that the showrunners, I'm not going to watch this because the showrunners hate me. Man, people just need to grow the fuck up. Not everything is about you. Holy shit. I can't believe people spend time thinking about things like this. I spent my whole day doing other things. Oh, Rings of Power is on? I guess I'll throw that on.
Yeah.
Good show. Went to bed. Woke up. Reviewed it. Be like Beau. BLB. And yeah, like I mentioned, we'll be recording a spoiler discussion, and we'll talk about some of the mysteries that these 2 episodes set up, like who is the man overlooking Galadriel at the end of the episode, what happened to Arondir when he was investigating the tunnels, what type of adventures he got himself into, and what's going on with Gandalf/Larry David. So, we'll be back on Sunday to talk more Rings of Power. Alright guys, that does it for this video. Thank you for joining us for this review. For Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey, I am Beau Oliver. Before we sign off, I want to quickly spotlight our weekly podcast, the Nerd Soup Podcast, published every Wednesday at noon. Every week, you could join myself, Aaron, Teddy, and the rest of the Nerd Soup crew as we discuss the hottest stories in movies and TV, equipped with some off-the-cuff commentary on the world of pop culture, while also providing extended reviews for the movies and shows we love. You can subscribe to our podcast channel on YouTube at the Nerd Soup Podcast, which can also be found on our Nerd Soup homepage, and you can listen to episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and all of the podcasting platforms we publish to. Thank you again for joining us on this review, and we will be back next week to review The Rings of Power Episode 3.
damn, we were making some good points in that video. Hey guys, Aaron the Nerd Soup Monkey here. Before we end this video, I want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. What can I say about you guys that I haven't already said about myself? You are the most important part of the channel and the main reason we keep going strong. Like Beau says, you keep the lights on in the fridge so the fridge is full. Or something like that. So, from everyone here at Nerd Soup, I'd like to thank you guys for your continued support. If you're interested in joining the ranks of our patron supporters, head over to patreon.com/nerdsoup and check out the rewards we offer to our patrons. We recently dropped some new stickers for you guys to check out, or you could choose a tier that will allow you to select a movie, show, or video game for us to review. We've got a full slate of fan-suggested reviews coming your way, and we're really excited about the chance to review some of those movies and shows. We've also got t-shirts, mugs, behind-the-scenes videos showing how we bring our videos to life. And once again, thank you to all our Patreon pledgers who have been supporting us throughout the years. Without you, we wouldn't be able to convert all your pledges into cryptocurrency, so thank you from my future self for making us broke.